The message came on a Tuesday. After centuries of scanning the stars and sending signals into the darkness, humanity finally got an answer. The giant radio dish in New Mexico picked it up first, a pattern too perfect to be natural, too complex to be random. Within hours, every major observatory on Earth confirmed it. Humanity was not alone. Captain James Reed stood rigid in the command center of Earth Defense Headquarters, watching the wall of screens as the alien transmission played again. The message had been translated after 3 days of the world's best computers and linguists working nonstop. Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Galactic Council, a union of 17 spacefaring civilizations. We have observed your development and deem you ready for first contact. We extend an invitation to join our galactic community. Coordinates for a meeting point follow. We await your representatives. Reed ran a hand through his short gray hair. At 45, he had spent 20 years in Earth's defense forces, but nothing in his training had prepared him for this. They sound friendly enough, said General Thompson, the stocky man beside him. But we've all seen the movies. Reed nodded. Friendly messages don't always mean friendly intentions. The door slid open, and Lieutenant Anna Miller entered. She was Reed's second in command. Brilliant, cautious, and never without her datapad. Her dark eyes were sharp with intelligence. The President has made a decision, she announced. We're sending a response. And a delegation. Reed raised an eyebrow. That was fast. Too fast, Miller agreed. But the public knows about the message now. People are demanding action. Some are celebrating in the streets. Others are panicking. We need to show we're doing something. 3 days later, Reed found himself in the Oval Office with Miller and 5 other officers. The President sat behind her desk, flanked by advisors. Captain Reed, your record shows exceptional judgment under pressure, the President said. That's why I'm appointing you to lead this mission. Lieutenant Miller will accompany you, along with a team of scientists and diplomats. Reed maintained his professional composure, but his stomach tightened. Madam President, what exactly are our objectives? An advisor slid a folder across the desk. Your primary mission is information gathering. Learn about this council, their technology, their true intentions. Make no binding agreements without direct authorization, and if their intentions aren't peaceful. Reed asked. The President's expression hardened. Then get our people home safely and give us what we need to prepare. The Earth vessel Venture was the best ship humans had ever built. Sleek and powerful, it could reach Mars in days rather than months. But according to the coordinates provided, the meeting point was near Jupiter, a journey of weeks. As the ship hummed to life on launch day, Reed gazed through the view screen at the blue planet below. Earth looked so beautiful, so fragile from space. Miller joined him on the bridge, her face troubled. Something bothering you, Lieutenant? Reed asked. Why us? She said. Out of all the alien civilizations they could contact, why Earth? We're not the most advanced, not the most peaceful. Reed considered this. Maybe they see potential in us. Or maybe they want something we have, Miller countered. The ship's engines roared louder as final launch preparations completed. Reed took his command chair and opened the ship-wide communication channel. This is Captain Reed. In minutes, we depart on humanity's most important journey. We carry with us the hopes, fears, and curiosity of every person on Earth. Whatever awaits us among the stars, remember this. We represent not just a government or a military, but all of humanity. Stay sharp, follow protocols, and let's make history the right way. As the countdown reached 0, the Venture lifted off, heading for the blackness beyond Earth's atmosphere. Reed felt the weight of responsibility press down on him, heavier than the acceleration pushing him into his seat. 17 alien civilizations awaited them. 17 species with unknown intentions. The Venture shot past the moon, engines flaring blue against the void. Earth dwindled behind them, becoming just another light in the darkness. Humanity's first step into the galactic community had begun. But as Reed studied the alien coordinates on his screen, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were heading into something far more complicated than a simple welcome party. After 3 weeks of travel, the venture reached the meeting point. What they found took their breath away. A massive space station hung against the backdrop of Jupiter's swirling clouds. It was shaped like a wheel with spokes leading to a central hub, and it dwarfed anything humans had ever built. Lights sparkled along its surface, and smaller ships moved around it like bees around a hive. "That's big," said Reed, standing on the bridge as the station filled their view screen. Miller studied the readings on her console. "It's the size of a small city, and those energy readings are off the charts." A voice crackled through their communication system. It spoke perfect English with an odd musical quality. "Earth Vessel Venture, this is Galactic Council Station Alpha. You are cleared to dock at Bay 17. Follow the guide lights." Reed straightened his uniform and addressed his crew. "Remember your training. Stay alert, stay together, and remember we represent Earth." The Venture followed a path of blue lights toward the massive station. As they approached, a docking bay opened like a giant mouth, swallowing their ship whole. When the airlock doors opened, Reed led a team of 12 humans into the station. The air smelled clean but strange, with a hint of something like cinnamon. The walls were white and smooth, curving gently overhead. The floor hummed slightly beneath their boots. They were met by a group of aliens. 3 different species stood before them, each more strange than the last. The tallest had blue skin and 4 arms. Another looked almost human except for its silver eyes and pointed ears. The third was short and round with tentacles instead of arms. But it was the being at the front that commanded attention. Tall and thin with pale skin that seemed to glow slightly, it had large eyes that were entirely black. It wore a simple gray robe and held a staff made of some shining metal. "I am Director Thull," it said, its mouth not moving. The words simply appeared in Reed's mind. "Welcome to Council Station Alpha. We are pleased you accepted our invitation." Reed stepped forward. "Captain James Reed of Earth. We're honored to be here and eager to learn about the Galactic Council." Thull's black eyes revealed nothing. "All will be explained at the official welcome. Please follow." They were led through wide corridors where other alien species moved about their business. Some stopped to stare at the humans. Reed counted 7 different kinds of aliens just on their short walk. The welcome ceremony took place in a large dome room with a view of Jupiter. Representatives from all 17 council species sat in a semicircle facing the humans. Thull stood on a raised platform before them. "For 50,000 years, the Galactic Council has maintained peace among the stars." Thull began. "We guide developing worlds toward enlightenment and protect them from harm. Today, we extend this protection to Earth." Reed noticed the word choice immediately. Not partnership, protection. Thull continued, displaying images of Earth above the platform. "Your species has shown great potential, but also concerning tendencies. Your rapid resource consumption, your history of warfare, your aggressive expansion." The images changed to show Earth's pollution, wars, and crowded cities. Miller leaned close to Reed and whispered, "This doesn't sound like an invitation anymore. The Council has voted to designate Earth as a Category 3 protected world." Thull announced, "We will provide guidance to help you overcome your destructive tendencies. In return, you will agree to certain limitations on your technology development and space exploration." Reed felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. This wasn't a welcome to equals. This was a leash. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding," Reed said carefully. "We came here to discuss joining the Council as members, not as subjects." Murmurs rippled through the alien delegates. Thull's expression didn't change, but the air seemed to chill. "Captain Reed, perhaps I have not been clear. This is not a negotiation. The Council has determined what is best for Earth and all other species in this sector. Your aggressive tendencies must be contained before you develop further. This is an act of mercy." Reed stood straighter. "Director Thull, We will need to discuss this with our government. The terms you describe are different from what we expected. For the first time, Thull showed emotion, a slight narrowing of those black eyes. Of course, consider this merely an introduction to reality, Captain. The sooner your species accepts its place, the better for everyone. As they were escorted back to their quarters, Miller whispered to Reed, "They don't see us as equals. They see us as children, or animals." Reed nodded grimly. "They didn't invite us here to welcome us to the galactic community. They invited us here to put us in our place." The true face of the council had been revealed, and it wasn't smiling. 3 days had passed since the shocking welcome ceremony. Reed and his team were stuck in endless meetings with council officials who talked down to them, as if explaining things to children. "The limitations are for your own good," a six-eyed alien named Vex explained during one session. "No expansion beyond your solar system for at least 100 years. No development of certain weapons or drive technologies. Regular inspections of your planet. All very standard for Category 3 worlds." Reed kept his face neutral, though anger burned inside. "And what happens to species who refuse protected status?" Vex blinked its many eyes slowly. "That would be unwise. The Council's decisions are final." While Reed handled the official meetings, Miller led the intelligence-gathering efforts. She had convinced the Earth team to split up and learn as much as possible about the station and the Council. On the 4th day, Miller was exploring the lower levels of the station when she noticed someone following her. She ducked around a corner and waited. A small alien with gray skin and large, nervous eyes appeared. It was one of the station's workers she had seen cleaning the meeting rooms. "Human," it whispered, looking around fearfully. "I am Dorn. We must talk." "Not here." Miller hesitated, then nodded. "Where?" "Maintenance sector, level 6, 1 hour," Dorn said before hurrying away. Miller debated whether to tell Reed, but decided to check out Dorn's story first. She made her way to the maintenance sector, a maze of pipes and machinery that kept the massive station running. Dorn was waiting in a small room filled with cleaning supplies. The alien's hands shook slightly. "Why did you want to meet?" Miller asked. "Because my people were once like yours," Dorn said quietly. "We were offered protection by the Council 300 years ago. Now we are servants. I clean their rooms and fix their machines while they run our homeworld." Miller felt a chill. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because humans deserve to know the truth. The Council doesn't fear your aggression. They want your planet." Dorn pulled out a small device and activated it. A hologram appeared showing the solar system, but with strange lines of energy running through it. "Earth sits on what we call a nexus point, a place where space-time allows for more efficient, faster-than-light travel. It is rare and valuable. The Council has wanted control of it for centuries." Miller stared at the hologram. "If this is about our location, why all the talk about our aggressive tendencies?" "That is how they justify taking control. They use the same story for any world they want. If you refuse protection—" Dorn paused, eyes darkening. "5 species have refused in the 1,000 years I have records for. All 5 suffered natural disasters soon after. Asteroids, solar flares, plagues. The Council offers protection with one hand and threatens with the other." Miller recorded everything on her datapad. "I need to tell my captain about this." "Be careful," Dorn warned. "The Council has ears everywhere. If they discover I spoke to you—" The alien shuddered. "Why risk helping us?" Miller asked. Dorn's large eyes met hers. "Because sometimes the youngest species are the ones who can change things. My people are too beaten down to fight back. But humans? You still have fire." When Miller returned to the human quarters, she found Reed alone, studying reports. "Captain, we need to talk. Privately." Reed recognized her serious tone and activated a signal jammer they had brought from Earth. "What did you find?" Miller showed him the recording of her meeting with Dorn and the hologram of Earth's nexus point. "If this is true," Reed said slowly, Then this was never about joining a peaceful galactic community. It's about control of Earth's strategic position, Miller finished. And they've done this before. Reed stood and paced the room. We need to warn Earth immediately, but our communications are monitored. I might have a solution, Miller said. Dorn mentioned maintenance tunnels that run near the communication hub. If I can access the main array directly, I might be able to send a burst transmission home before they detect it. Too risky. Reed shook his head. If they catch you, they'll know we're onto them. If we don't warn Earth, the Council could be planning their natural disaster right now, Miller argued. Reed thought for a long moment, then nodded. Do it, but be careful. I'll keep the Council representatives busy with questions about their protection program. They love talking down to us, so that shouldn't be hard. As Miller slipped out to find the maintenance tunnels, Reed stared out the viewport at distant Jupiter. The beautiful gas giant swirled with storm clouds, reminding him of the storm brewing between Earth and the Council. They had come seeking friendship among the stars. Instead, they had found politics, lies, and threats. But humanity had faced threats before, and humanity had survived. This time would be no different. Miller's message reached Earth in the middle of the night. The transmission was brief, just 5 minutes before the Council's systems detected and shut it down. But it was enough. Emergency alarms woke leaders across the planet. Within hours, the world's most powerful people gathered in a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. Admiral William Grant, head of Earth's defense forces, stood before screens showing Miller's stolen data about the Nexus Point and the Council's history of natural disasters. This is no longer a diplomatic mission, Grant told the grim-faced leaders. This is a threat to our existence. The president nodded. What options do we have? We can't fight a coalition of 17 advanced species. Not yet, Grant agreed. But Captain Reed is keeping them talking. He's bought us time, and we need to use it. Back on the station, Reed sat through another council meeting, carefully hiding what he knew. Director Thull was explaining the benefits of Earth's new status. As a protected world, you will receive limited technological assistance, Thull said. Medical advances, improved crop yields, all carefully monitored, of course. And in return, we just give up our independence, Reed replied with a pleasant smile that didn't reach his eyes. That seems like an uneven trade. Thull's black eyes narrowed slightly. It is the same arrangement all developing species accept. The alternative is isolation. Reed recognized the threat, but kept his expression neutral. Our leaders will need time to consider such a significant proposal. Our governmental systems require consensus. Of course, Thull said. We understand primitive democratic processes take time. Reed fought down his anger at the insult and instead asked, perhaps while we wait for Earth's response, you could show us more of the Council's achievements. My team is particularly interested in your defensive systems. On Earth, preparation was happening at a frantic pace. Grant had initiated Project Darkshield, a defensive system hidden beneath the lunar surface. Scientists and engineers worked day and night, building massive weapon platforms disguised as mining operations. The public can't know yet, the president told her advisors. It would cause panic. Instead, they released edited versions of the Council's messages, presenting it as an ongoing diplomatic exchange, while secretly preparing for the worst. Dr. Marcus, Earth's leading physicist, led a team examining the alien technology glimpsed in Miller's transmissions. Their ships use a form of gravity manipulation we've theorized but never achieved, he explained to Grant. But now that we know it's possible, we can accelerate our research. How long? Grant asked. To fully match their technology. Years, but to create effective countermeasures. Months, maybe less. Grant nodded. Do it. Whatever resources you need. Weeks passed. On the Council station, Reed and his team continued their diplomatic dance. They asked endless questions, requested clarifications, and cited Earth's complex political systems as reasons for delays. Our nations must all agree, Reed explained to an increasingly frustrated Thull. Some want more details about the protection program. These delays are unusual, Thull noted, suspicion evident in his voice. Most species are eager for our protection. Reed smiled. Humans are known for being thorough. Meanwhile, Miller continued her secret meetings with Dorn, gathering valuable intelligence on Council weapons and defenses. The small alien had grown bolder, driven by hope that humans might succeed where his people had failed. Their main fleet has 12 dreadnoughts, Dorn whispered during one meeting. But only 3 are stationed near your system. What about their defense systems? Miller asked. They rely heavily on energy shields that can block most weapons, Dorn explained. But the shields must be dropped briefly when they fire their main weapons. It creates a window of vulnerability. Miller recorded everything. This could be crucial. Back on Earth, these intelligence reports helped shape humanity's desperate preparations. Engineers designed weapons to exploit the brief shield vulnerabilities. Factories worldwide converted to military production under the guise of infrastructure projects. The moon's far side, hidden from Council observation, became the center of Earth's secret defense effort. Thousands of workers built underground bases and launch facilities. Ships were constructed in pieces, ready to be assembled rapidly when needed. Grant stood in the Lunar Command Center, watching workers install a massive rail gun. Will it be enough? His aide asked. The Admiral's face was grim. It has to be. Reed can't stall them forever. As if confirming his words, a transmission came through from the Venture. Reed's face appeared on screen, his expression tense. Admiral, the Council is losing patience. They've given us an ultimatum. 7 days to accept their terms, or they'll reconsider their approach. We're running out of time. Grant straightened his uniform. Then we'll have to make every second count. Director Thull's patience had finally run out. After months of what the Council considered unnecessary delays, the alien administrator called Reed and his team to the Grand Meeting Chamber. All 17 Council species were present, their representatives watching from elevated seats that surrounded the humans like a court judging criminals. Captain Reed, Thull began, his voice echoing in the vast room. The Council has been extremely patient with Earth. Too patient, some would say. Reed stood tall, hands clasped behind his back. We appreciate the Council's understanding of our democratic processes. Thull's black eyes seemed to darken further. Your processes have taken 3 times longer than any other species we have ever invited into protection. The Council has reached a unanimous decision. A large screen appeared in the air, showing a document in both alien script and English. Earth will accept protected status within 7 Earth days, Thull announced. There will be no further extensions or negotiations. The terms are simple. Earth will limit its space development to within its solar system. All technology development will be monitored. Council representatives will establish a permanent base on your moon to oversee compliance. Reed read through the document, keeping his face carefully neutral despite the anger building inside him. The terms were even more restrictive than previously discussed. And if Earth requires more time to consider, he asked. Thull's voice became colder. Then the Council will be forced to reconsider its approach to Earth. There are other methods to ensure compliance when diplomacy fails. The threat hung in the air, clear to everyone present. Lieutenant Miller stepped forward. Director Thull, we require direct consultation with our government regarding these new terms. Request permission to return to Earth. Murmurs ran through the alien representatives. Such a request was unusual. Most species communicated remotely with their homeworlds. Thull conferred briefly with other Council members before turning back to the humans. Your request is granted. You may return to Earth for final consultations. Your ship will be escorted by a Council vessel to ensure your safe return. An escort won't be necessary, Reed said quickly. We insist, Thull replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. The Council is generous, but not foolish. 2 hours later, the Venture prepared to depart. Council technicians had inspected the ship thoroughly, supposedly to ensure it was safe for the journey home. In reality, they had planted monitoring devices throughout the vessel. As Reed and Miller did their final checks, Dorn appeared at a maintenance hatch near the docking bay. The small alien looked even more nervous than usual. "They will follow you to Earth," Dorn whispered. "They believe humans will surrender when faced with their technology. They're sending their most impressive warship as your escort to intimidate your leaders." Miller nodded. "We suspected as much. I cannot help you further," Dorn said sadly. "But know this. In the Council's long history, they have never faced a species that truly stood against them. Their power comes from fear and the belief that resistance is impossible." "Thank you for everything, Dorn," Reed said. "If humans find a way through this, we won't forget your people." Dorn's large eyes blinked rapidly, his species' version of gratitude. "Go now, and may your world find a path that mine could not." The journey back to Earth took 2 weeks. Behind the Venture, the massive Council warship Shadow of Justice followed like a predator stalking prey. Its weapon systems were clearly visible, a deliberate show of force. Reed spent most of the journey reviewing everything they had learned about Council technology, searching for any weakness they could exploit. Miller focused on secretly removing or disabling the monitoring devices the Council had planted. As Earth came into view, a blue jewel against the blackness of space, Reed gathered his crew. "Whatever happens next," he told them, "remember that we represent the best of humanity. The Council believes we'll surrender when threatened. They expect us to choose safety over freedom. They've never met humans before." The Venture entered Earth orbit, followed closely by the Council warship. Reed expected to see fear on the faces of Earth's leaders when they made contact. Instead, he saw determination. Admiral Grant's image appeared on the communication screen. "Welcome home, Captain. I see you brought company." Reed nodded. "The Council has given us an ultimatum. 7 days to accept protected status." Grant's expression didn't change. "I see. And their warship? A reminder of what happens if we refuse." Grant smiled slightly. "Well, Captain, it seems the Council still has much to learn about humanity. Return to Earth. It's time for us to give them our answer." As the Venture descended toward home, Reed couldn't help but notice unusual activity around the moon. For just a moment, he thought he saw something massive moving below the lunar surface. Then it was gone. Earth wasn't surrendering. Earth was ready. The world's leaders gathered in a massive underground bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. 50 men and women with the weight of humanity's future on their shoulders sat around a circular table. Captain Reed and Lieutenant Miller stood at the center, presenting everything they had learned about the Council. "They believe we'll surrender," Reed concluded. "They've never encountered serious resistance before." The President looked tired but determined. "What exactly happens if we refuse their protection?" Miller brought up the data from Dorn. "Based on historical patterns, they'll likely engineer a disaster. An asteroid strike, a solar flare, something that looks natural but devastates our planet." Silence fell over the room as the leaders considered this grim possibility. Admiral Grant stepped forward. "Madam President, it's time to show what we've been building." The main screen activated, showing the dark side of the moon. As cameras zoomed in, massive structures became visible. Structures that hadn't been there when Reed left Earth months ago. "Project Darkshield," Grant explained. 2,000 defense platforms hidden beneath the lunar surface. Rail guns, missile launchers, and energy weapons reverse-engineered from what we glimpsed of Council technology. Reed stared in amazement. "You built all this in just months?" Grant nodded. "Every nation contributed. The biggest secret project in human history. We have 30 new ships ready to launch, equipped with experimental drives based on the Council's designs." Dr. Marcus, the head scientist, spoke up. "We've also developed countermeasures against their shielding technology, based on Lieutenant Miller's intelligence. Their shields must drop briefly when they fire their main weapons. That's their weakness." "But is it enough?" asked the Chinese premier. Even with these defenses, we're facing 17 advanced species. Admiral Grant's face was grim. Our analysis suggests we can hold our own against a limited attack. But a full-scale invasion by the entire Council? No. We'd eventually fall. Then perhaps we should accept their terms, the European Chancellor suggested. Buy time, build our strength secretly over years. They'd detect any significant development, Miller countered. Their monitoring would be comprehensive. The Russian president pounded his fist on the table. Russia votes for resistance. Better to fight on our feet than live on our knees. Arguments erupted around the table. Some leaders favored temporary submission followed by eventual rebellion. Others wanted immediate resistance, despite the risks. The president raised her hand for silence. We have 2 days left to respond. I want options, not arguments. That night, Reed couldn't sleep. He paced the corridors of the bunker, thinking about Dorn's words. The Council has never faced a species that truly stood against them. He found Miller in the strategy room, studying star charts. Anything interesting? He asked. She looked up. Maybe. The Council's nearest major base is 2 light-years away. Their main fleet would take weeks to reach us, even with their advanced drives. So if we could neutralize their escort ship, Reed began, we'd have time to fully activate Dark Shield before reinforcements arrive. Miller finished. The next morning, when the leaders reconvened, Admiral Grant presented a bold plan. We don't respond to their ultimatum, he said simply. Instead, we go silent, completely silent. No communications, no signals. Meanwhile, we position our new fleet here. He pointed to locations around the solar system. We activate Dark Shield only after they make the first move. They'll think we're stalling again, Reed noted. Grant nodded. Exactly. But this time, when they come to force our hand, they'll find we're ready. The debate lasted hours. Some leaders feared the consequences of defiance. Others worried about living under Council control. Finally, the president called for a vote. One by one, world leaders stated their positions. The tally was close, but in the end, the decision was made. Then we are agreed, the president announced. Humanity rejects the Council's terms. We will not become a protected species. We choose independence, whatever the cost. She turned to Admiral Grant. Implement the silent protocol. All communications with the Council cease immediately. Position our forces as planned. To Reed and Miller, she added, your mission was to discover the truth. You succeeded. Now humanity knows what we're facing, and we face it together. As the meeting adjourned, Reed looked around at the determined faces of Earth's leaders. The Council had dealt with many species over thousands of years, but they were about to learn something new. They were about to learn about human stubbornness. 7 days passed, then 8, then 9. Earth remained silent. On the 10th day, the Council lost patience. The shadow of justice moved closer to Earth, joined by 2 more warships that arrived from the outer system. Director Thole stood on the command deck, his black eyes fixed on the blue planet below. Still no response, he asked. None, Director, replied the ship's commander. All our attempts at communication have been ignored. Thole's thin fingers tapped against the railing. Most unusual. Scan the planet again. Look for signs of military mobilization. Scans show normal activity, the commander reported. Their primitive defenses remain unchanged. And the moon. Some mining operations, as before. Nothing threatening. Thole considered his options. The humans are either foolish or playing some game I do not understand. Prepare a demonstration. Target one of their unused polar regions with a low-yield energy burst. Show them we are serious. In the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Grant watched the Council ships on his screens. Reed and Miller stood beside him, tense but ready. They're charging weapons, reported a young officer. Grant's face hardened. Location: Antarctic region. Looks like a warning shot. Grant nodded to Reed. They're following the pattern, just as Dorn predicted. He pressed a button. opening a channel to all Earth forces. All units, Phase 1. I repeat, Phase 1. Across the solar system, hidden Earth ships powered up. On the dark side of the moon, thousands of mechanical sounds echoed as Darkshield began to activate. Aboard the Shadow of Justice, alarms suddenly blared. "Director," the commander shouted. Energy signatures detected, all across the lunar surface. Before Thul could respond, the moon's surface seemed to crack open. Hundreds of weapon platforms rose from hidden bunkers. Rail guns, missile launchers, and energy cannons, all aimed directly at the Council ships. "Impossible," Thul whispered. "Their technology is too primitive." "More contacts," the commander cried. "Earth vessels approaching from multiple vectors. Their weapon systems are active." For the first time in his long life, Director Thul felt fear. This was not how protected species behaved. This was not in any of the Council's predictions. A communication request flashed on their screen. After a moment, Thul nodded. "Accept it." Admiral Grant's face appeared. Behind him stood Reed, Miller, and Earth's president. "Director Thul," Grant said calmly, "I see you're preparing to attack a defenseless area of our planet. That would be unwise." Thul struggled to regain his composure. "This is merely a demonstration. The Council has given Earth ample time to accept protection. Your silence is unacceptable." The president stepped forward. "Earth has considered your offer and reached a decision. We reject it completely. Humanity will not become a protected species. We walk our own path." "You don't understand the consequences of refusal," Thul said, his voice hardening. "The Council has methods to ensure compliance when diplomacy fails." "You mean like the natural disasters that happened to other worlds who refused?" Miller asked. "We know about those too." Thul's black eyes widened slightly. "You are making a terrible mistake. The Council has 17 species united against you. Your primitive defenses cannot hope to." "Look again," Grant interrupted. "Your sensors should be showing you exactly what we're capable of." On the Council ship's screens, the full extent of Earth's preparations became clear. The moon bristled with weapons. Earth ships moved into strategic positions. And from Mars' orbit, another fleet of human vessels appeared, having hidden in the planet's shadow. "This is humanity's answer," the president declared. "We will defend ourselves if attacked. We will not surrender our independence. We will not become another of your servant species." Thul's composure cracked completely. "You cannot do this. No species has ever rejected the Council's protection. The consequences will be severe." Grant smiled coldly. "Then bring your consequences, Director. But know this, we've studied your technology. We know your weaknesses, and we're prepared to fight." A signal from one of the other Council ships caught Thul's attention. Several member species were breaking formation, pulling their ships back. "Director," his commander whispered, "the Tellurians and Vorn representatives are requesting permission to withdraw. They say this confrontation exceeds their authority." For the first time in the Council's history, its unified front was cracking. The sight of Earth's unexpected defenses and humanity's complete lack of fear had shaken their confidence. "This isn't over," Thul hissed. "The full Council will decide Earth's fate." "No," Reed said simply. "We've decided our own fate. You came offering chains disguised as protection. We're not interested. The Council will return," Thul warned as his ships began to retreat. "With our full fleet." Admiral Grant nodded to an officer who pressed a button. Suddenly, the Council ship's engines sputtered and died. They drifted, powerless. "When you return to your Council," Grant said, "tell them this. Humanity walks away from your offer. Next time, come as equals or don't come at all." As quickly as they had disabled the ships, Earth restored their power. The message was clear. Humans could have destroyed them, but chose not to. The Council ships retreated, leaving Earth behind. For the first time in its long history, the Council had not gotten its way. Humanity had changed the rules of the game.